For the first corner and right there.
.94.
einfach nahezu perfekt. Sie bleibt
second heat VIP.
Good morning and welcome to Lillehammer in Norway. The second day of action here. This is the first of two race weekends for the bobsleigh teams to round out the IBSF World Cup campaign before we head to Lake Placid and the World Championships. And we start our day today with the women's monobob competition. 23 entries, including one brand new first-time driver. So what is the challenge of the Lillehammer track, the venue for the 1994 Winter Olympic Games and also the 2016 Youth Olympic Games? Some of those competitors are back here again this weekend. Short start, explosive power required, getting in nice and quietly before corner 1, little left-hand dink, and then 2 right-handers, corner 2 and corner 3, 90-degree right-hander. Corner 4 and a little short shoot into 5, trying to avoid getting sent over into that left-hand wall. And then corner 6, 180-degree plus omega-shaped corner into the labyrinth. Corner 7, 8 is the key here, not to get too late onto 9, which leaves you in trouble on 10, because 10 feeds you into 11, which then sends you up to corner 12. Key exit there for setting up 13. That is the speed at the bottom of the track. Through 14, and then the 2 big right-handers at the bottom, corner 15 and corner 16, and there is the line. So start record set last year by Lisa Buchwitz, the first World Cup race back here in nearly 20 years, and Keisha Love, the track record holder. Keisha Love was our winner last year, with Brianna Walker taking silver, and that woman, Lisa Buchwitz, taking the bronze, despite that start record. Well, Buchwitz now with 13 medals in 21 monobob races. And Bree Walker similarly well decorated. This is her 19th monobob race, and she has 10 medals already. Lauren Alter, 2-time world champion. And Alana Myers-Taylor, our Olympic silver medalist, as well as Olympic champion in women's monobob, Kaylee Humphries, both competing here again. First time ever in her career for Humphries here. Astonishingly, she only went to Sigulda for the first time 2 years ago. Somehow it had just never really happened, and she's never raced here either. There's Keisha. Cynthia up here for Canada. 10 of the 23 starters did not race here last year. Sylvia Hoffman there is one of those. It was only the first World Cup back after a long period. Sarah Blizzard for Australia will start our race off. Kaylee Humphries gets the advantage of early ice, going off 4th. And then Alana Myers-Taylor 6th, Lauren Alter 9th, Keisha Love, last year's winner, 11th, Lisa Buchwitz 13th. And further on down, we get to Erica Voss, the former Canadian brakewoman. Race 7 of the IBSF Women's Monobob World Cup underway here in Lillehammer in Norway. And it's Australia's Sarah Blizzard who gets us underway. Raced here in December 2023 in monobob in Europe Cup, as she was on her first season of driving sleds, having converted from being a brakewoman. Start is 6:02, and that compares to a start record of 5:58. Now, the overnight low was pretty cold last night, so as with yesterday, this should be hard and very fast ice. And that's a little bit over-dramatic as she gets into the top of the labyrinth. Clips the wall going from 8 to 9. Out of corner 10. Down out of 12 into 13. Key to speed at the bottom. Gets a decent run. Down into 14. And then corner 15, 2 pressures. Nicely out into 16. Ducks ahead across the line for a 55.60. Now, she won't know yet how that stacks up. Ashley Berner, her brakewoman, and her coach watching the action there, and Van Nieuwenhuis. So Sarah sweeping around through corner 6 there, and then down in the labyrinth, got very hard onto corner 7. This is corner 10. Again, double pressure turn. Well, wherever you're watching, down under, good afternoon to you. Next up, Victoria Chinaska, Youth Olympic silver medalist, not here, but in 2020. And are those the familiar trousers of Sandra Kyriasis? They are indeed, helping out with Chinaska. She's also coaching Nigeria's Simi Adiagbo. This is a game that Sandra Kyriasis never played in her career. It was women's bobsleigh only. They didn't have a second sport to participate in. 6:06, so just 400s behind Victoria Chinaska. Now to corner 3 into the 4-5 complex. Almost everybody's going to get sent over into that left-hand wall. Probably costs more time to fight it. And into the labyrinth. Again, late height in 7, kind of misses 8, and then down through 9 and into corner 10. 1100s behind Sarah Blizzard. We saw in the skeleton race yesterday the conditions on race day were very different from the milder conditions in which they trained. Took a lot of athletes some time to get used to that. Better speed than Blizzard, now she's in the lead, and Chinaska in front by 400s. Again, the head duck, because a 100th or 2 can make the big difference. 23 sleds, only the fastest 20 go through into the second heat. So we will have 3 unfortunate runners who don't get to go again. The Canadian brakewomen helping out down at the bottom. On Monobob day, obviously there are no other crew members in the sled other than the driver. So crew members tend to make themselves busy helping others with sleds. At a 13, not a bad looking exit, little tap down to 14. 14's a right-hander, so you want to sort of enter on the driver's left, not get nudged too far away. Next up, Sylvia Hoffman for the USA, first time here, so she will have spent last week learning the track and official training this week as well as paid training. 9th World Cup start in Monobob. Sylvia, former brakewoman, like so many in the field. So far start is a 6:02. She's in a 5:58, and that ties the start record. Okay, here we go. So we may yet get records in the Monobob. We had track records yesterday afternoon in the women's skeleton, not in the morning in the men's. Just avoids that little tap on the way into 9, down in the labyrinth. Out of corner 10. Good looking run so far, second best speed. Look at the way she's looking around, the peak in the cowl on her sled, sitting low and far back. Had a good run across the line, 54.82. We're 7 tenths away from a track record. But Sylvia Hoffman going great guns at the start, tying the start record. She started driving right after the 22 games. And it's coming on very well. A little late out of 13. And again, with the track running faster, I'm sure, than it was even in final training. Having to adjust to that. Well, one more this weekend, but Bobsleigh stays here for next weekend as well. So next up is Katie Humphries, first time on this track, the Olympic gold medalist in the first ever women's monobob Olympic competition in Beijing. Looking forward to going to Milan Cortina to try and defend that title, and who knows, be in the running potentially for a 3rd women's bobsleigh Olympic gold medal. She's had an astonishing career, Kaylee Humphries, a year out last year to give birth to her son in the middle of the summer. A 5.79 getaway. 9 monobob medals so far, 4 wins. This year, not been on the podium. 3 7th place finishes have been her best results. She's not quite with the front runners on the starts. Don't expect that to be the case next year. She will be right there. Little hit between 13 and 14. Now she's in the lead, 123.4 kilometers an hour. Best speed of all, and across the line, 54.69. So Kaylee Humphries with an early lead over teammate Sylvia Hoffman, and Victoria Czelanska in 3rd spot. Unlike in St. Moritz, early ice is favourable on an artificial track, even one where the overnight lows are cold. You get it before it gets roughed up a little bit by the runners. And we're talking marginal gains in this sport at all times. That's a quick transition in these sleds. Hard to read because she doesn't know the track intimately. This is St. Altenburg. Next up, Melanie Hasler. Came here and raced in the Monobob World Cup last year and in the women's bobsleigh, but that's her only time on this track. So again, although she finished 9th place here last year, a little shy on knowledge compared to other tracks. Again, last year everybody had a week here before the World Cup race. It's been the same this year as well. 5.69 getaway, so 1/10 of a second is her advantage. Starting in 10th quicker than Kaylee Humphries. Now she's got to carry that speed all the way down and try and build on it. Little tap between 4 and 5. Exit to 6 can be tricky. Gets it nice. Holds the line on 7. Nice looking run through the labyrinth. Still has a 10th in hand. Kaylee was fastest at the bottom, 1:16.0, 72 miles an hour. For Melanie Hasler, clean out of 13. Does she have the top speed? Just a whisker slower than Kaylee. They're still doing 76.4 miles an hour, 54.61, 800s up. Two Monobob silvers so far in her career for Mel Hasler. And this is World Cup start number 22 in Monobob. The fan with the signs is back. Didn't see what that one said. A little on the left going into 13. That puts her a little late on the exit, but she held it well. Avoided the tap, didn't cut too much ice, kept her speed up. And down here in 15, great view of the driver working and how far back they sit in the monobob compared to a women's bobsleigh where they have to fit in somebody else behind them. Melanie Hasler leads Kaylee Humphries and Sylvia Hoffman. Here is our 3rd US sled. It's Alana Myers-Taylor, Olympic silver medalist. Raced here last year. That, again, was her first time. Finished in 10th place, just behind Mel Hasler. And that was her return season from having her second child, 5.72. So starting just slower than Melanie Hasler. But Alana has really come on form in the last couple of races, winning both outings in monobob in St. Moritz. She's really looking forward to the women's bobsleigh race a couple of weeks ago, but Sunday was not snowed off, but warmed off. There was no women's monobob and no 4-man race on Sunday in St. Moritz. No women's, 2-man race rather, no women's bob race. And those races will now not be replaced. Close at the line, but she's losing a little time. A 10th back, 54.71. So started 300s behind and came down a 10th behind. So Kaylee Humphries 800s off the lead, Alana a 10th off the lead. Well, still 3 German sleds to go, as well as everybody else. So a couple of little errors, taps and skids. Out of 14, having to drive it off, and that meant contact with the wall and a skid on the way up to 14. Words of advice from Tuffy Latour. Next up, Bree Walker, a 32-year-old Aussie in her 19th World Cup race. 10 medals so far, including gold in Lake Placid last year. What does that augur for the World Championships, I wonder? Coach Pierre Luders in the background. And a bit like Sandra Kyriasis, these things relatively new to him. Certainly nobody was driving monobobs in his driving career. 5.65. So good strong start again. 400s up on our leader Melanie Hasler. Ooh, little skid from 4 to 5. That's going to cost her a little bit of speed. Was 900s up, only the 3rd best speed. 800s, not growing the gap, and falling late out of 9, late in 10, late off 11. Not adjusting to the speed of the track. 2nd fastest sled out of 13 late. She's flopped everywhere. Still has some speed, but only the 4th best. She's not going to be in front at the line, I don't think. Across the line, there you go. Make a fool of me, 54.56. But the track running faster than she was expecting all the way down, pretty much from corner 6. Late exit after late exit. Chiara Rodingius, her brake woman, helping with the sled at the bottom there. Late height and a flop off 13. And that was the story everywhere. There's the other angle of that. And again, the going away shot into 14. Yeah, she's going to have to adjust to that. You can see how chilly it is this morning. For Switzerland, Deborah Annan, last year's junior world champion, raced here in Europe Cup in 2023, was not in the World Cup race last season. So again, those extra paid training days will have been really vital for her. Eighth World Cup start. 2 4th place finishes, her best results, including in St-Moritz. 5.73. Former handball player. We'll be working on her starts a little late, 4 to 5. Big height in 4. And out of 6. Again, a little flop off 7. And off 9. Out of corner 10, a little cleaner. 13 again. A little late onto 13, a little late off it. Compromised by the exit of 12. Big pressure in 15. Big height on that first pressure. And across the line, 2400s back, 54.80. So Deborah Annan in 5th place, ahead of Sylvia Hoffman by 200s. And then Victoria Chinanska and Sarah Blizzard, 7th and 8th, over a second back. Late off 4, into the wall with that skid, and again out of 13, very late. Clatters down onto the ice. That noise and that vibration is energy leaving the sled, and it is that energy that drives you down the slope. See her just holding the steer there, no major movements in 15. Next up is our two-time world monobob champion, Lara Nolte. Lara raced here to 6th place last year, returning to the scene of her youth Olympic gold medal winning runs in the monobob back in 2016. So, long before these sleds were a part of the World Cup, she was already driving them. They weren't articulated sleds in those days. It was a plank sled, so it didn't have a split in the chassis like they do now. This is where she cut her teeth. Started just 300s behind Brianna Walker. Now she's creeping into a narrow lead. Just about got the speed. Melanie Hasler was quickest there. Kaylee Humphries quickest at the bottom. And she's not going to match her. Was 300s up. Does she have a lead at the line? Yes, by 100th. Good to hear some noise down at the bottom. Fans at the track. 100th in front. So Lara, like everybody else, finding the track running faster than anticipated, and so everything they've learned is not quite right. And that's where the experience comes in, adjusting everything to allow for the faster track. Fourth place last year was Romania's Andreea Grecu. This race is also the European Championships this year, and Andreea, a two-time European silver medalist in the monobob. As well as last year's World Cup race, she's had 5 Europe Cup races here. 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze in those 5 outings. So, 4th place last year. This is her 20th Monobob World Cup start. What will today bring for Romania's Andreea Grecu? 5:69, just 100th off at the start. Plenty of driving experience. She started driving when she was still a brakewoman, as a number of our drivers have done. Stepped out of the shadows. Been Romania's lead driver for the last 6 or 7 years. Speed is not there. 1900s back, 2400s back. The lines aren't bad. Late flop out of 13. Leander up to 14. 7th best speed. Disappointing run for Romania's Andreea Grecu. 54.91. Well, when the drive looks good, but the speed is not there, and everybody's in the same sled, and they are all in the same sled, then you often look at the runner choice as not being optimal. Now, smaller nations may not have so many sets of runners to go for, and depending on the consistency of the steel from which they're made and the way that they are ground, some runners are better for colder tracks and some for warmer tracks. Andreea leaning forward there. She sits well back, but she's actually leaning forward, René Arnoux style, in the cockpit. So first 10 sleds down. Lara Nolte leads from Brianna Walker and Melanie Hasler, with Kaylee Humphries, Alana Meyer and Deborah Annan in the top half dozen. Our final US sled is last year's winner. This is Keisha Love. 2 gold medals she won here and in La Plagne last season. She She got a bronze medal in the women's bobsleigh race as well. For the first time in her World Cup career, she had spent more than 1 week at a track, and that really helped with her performance. Instead of turn up, learn a track, race, leave, turn up, learn a track, race, leave. 900's up as she gets to corner 6. Nice exit. Third best speed. So not adding to her advantage over the world champion Lauren Alter, the youth Olympic champion on this track. Only the 5th best speed, the gap's not going to grow. 13 to 14, long skid down into 14. Can she build speed here at the bottom? Not enough. Across the line, how far back? Just 700s back. And that leaves her in 4th place. So you can tell the Elite World Championships are on their way. Shauna Roba helping out with the coaching this weekend, or this week and last, and next. Had to drive it off quite hard, and those super slow-mos where you see what the driver is doing, that's the indicator of where those few precious hundreds go. Just a tiny bit more steering again there in 15, more height initially than perhaps she wanted, so she had to steer, and that steering is friction, and friction is energy leaving the sled. Everything is about carrying the energy you put in as far as you can. Next up, Kim Kilicki for Germany, our 12th of 23 sleds. So she is the fulcrum in the middle. We've had 11, there will be 11 after her. Came here in the women's bob in Europe Cup in 2017. Did not race here last year in monobob. She was nursing a muscle injury at that stage. Zimmer was in for, what, 3 World Cup races through the middle of the season last year in place of Kilicki. 500's back at the start, gaps out to 800ths of a second. She's not got the dramatic late flops that we've seen from a few. But again, not having had 2 weeks here last year is harming her knowledge of the track. So she's maybe busking it just a little bit more than ideally. 54.84. There's her brakewoman Leonie Fiebig. Helping up at the top of the track. The others down at the bottom. Lots of hands on deck. Matthias Herpfner down there at the front of the sled. Again, watch the runner tips. Nice smooth exit out of 13. She'd sort of adjusted to the speed by this stage of the run. Onto 15 again, maybe just a little more height, but she holds it there. Just steering very slightly to the right to stop the sled dipping. Not a bad run from Kilicki. Lisa Buchwitz, bronze medalist here last year. Raced in the Monobob World Series here in 2021. She's had 4 medals in 5 races here in Monobob. Mind you, her medal count is astonishing. 13 medals in her 21 World Cup Monobob starts. 5.62 getaway. That's part of her armoury as well. Now she needs to tidy exit out of 6 to start building that advantage again. High in 7, clean through 8 and 9. Little late out of 9 into 10. Flops off 10. Speed going away. Only the 9th fastest sled. Skid from 13 to 14. Has to hold it up in 15. Got early pressure there, and across the line, a 10th back in 5th place. So our 3 medalists from last year. Winner Keisha Love is 4th. Silver medalist Bree Walker is 2nd. But winner Lisa Buchwitz is currently in 5th. However, the top 5 are covered by just a 10th. A little hard onto corner 7. Watch the runners. Has to bring it off early. Has to roll it off there. And again in 15, just a little bit of right-hand steer to hold that height. She's a bundle of fun. Catty Bile, ditto, actually. Catty Bile almost never without some kind of a smile on her face. Finished 11th here last year. Raced in Europe Cup in the Monobob in 2023. 5 women's bob races here in Europe Cup as well, with 4 wins and a silver medal. So she can negotiate the track, of that there is little doubt. 14th World Cup start for her, 5:76. And that is her slight weak point here in the Monobob, is that she doesn't start as quickly as her rivals. She's giving away about a 10th to the faster starters. This is a good track for drivers who can drive, who can steer a sled. Eleventh fastest start. She's already out to 12th on the splits. 11th best speed. She's not, late out of 13. She's not making enough of a difference here. 7th best speed at the bottom. Track seems to be speeding. And 11th at the line, 54.91. Wolfgang Stampfer, the coach. If you haven't seen it yet, after losing a bet in Innsbruck, he had the girls give him an attractive new haircut. Attractive maybe if you're an Aussie larrikin, but possibly not for a gentleman of a certain age from the Tyrol. Ooh, late there. And she saw the danger midway through the corner, had to really haul it off. If she hadn't reacted there, that would have been a big roll. And again, that early height, just balancing the sled. So, from Austria to Canada, and Cynthia Appiah. Cyn finished in 5th place here in last year's World Cup race. Last season was her only time on this track. 23rd Monobob World Cup start. Only she and Lara Nolte have raced in every Monobob World Cup race. 5:65. Either for reasons of fitness or for other reasons. Occasionally people will skip a World Cup race to get training on another track that they feel may be more important. 500's up at the start, but 300's back already, so she's lost nearly a 10th of a second by corner 6. 5th best speed. Ooh. Interesting lines in the labyrinth. Down through 10. Better off 13. Gathering the reins again. Again, quite high early in 15. Ducks out of sight. Not an easy job for an athlete as tall as Cynthia Appiah. Mind you, she sits a long way back, so there's no cow to hit her head on. She can dive under. So Appiah in 6th position. So 300s behind Lisa Buchwitz, 100th ahead of Kaylee Humphries, 300s ahead of Alana Myers-Taylor. Top 8 covered by 1600ths of a second. The second heat is going to be throw all the names up in the air and see where they land, isn't it? Holding that height all the way through 15, treating it like a Kreisel almost. Get on, get up, hold the height. Lauren Alter, the leader, after our first 15 sleds. 8 sleds remain, 5 places left in the race. Next up is Melissa Lottholtz, the North America's Cup champion. Lyndon Rush in the white beanie. Good to see Justin Cripps back with the team. There he is in the grey hat. 2-time Olympic medalist in men's bobsleigh. Gold and a bronze in the last 2 outings. 5.67 getaway for Mel. So 100th up, 1100s back at corner 6, so losing about as much ground as Cynthia Appiah did. The speed is not good though, only 13th best speed. First time driving here, so like a number of others, having to learn the track in paid training as well as in the official half-dozen training runs which you use for monobob and women's bobsleigh. And across the line, 54.98. Well, she's ahead of Victoria Chernanska and Sarah Blizzard. Needs to be ahead of one more sled to guarantee herself a place in the race. It's probably not her main worry at the moment. She'll be all about trying to find more performance in herself. Getting on to 7 and off there. And again out of 13. Not a bad exit. Didn't take a big hit on the wall, but the skid isn't helping the speed. Down to 14 and on to 15. Gets up. You can see she's sitting a lot further forward than a number of drivers. Almost the same position as in the 2-seat sled. And the sled's the same size, but you've got room to move because there's no bodies behind you. Margot Bock of France next up, finished in 13th place last year. Raced here in the Monobob World Series in 2018 and 2019. Different sleds, but the same principle and experience. Raced here in Europe Cup in 2022 as well, and took 2 wins in the monobob. 5.89 getaway. And that is usually the worst bit of her run done with. Now she needs to undo the deficit of start with her driving. Little skid and a tap, 4 to 5. Smooth exit out of 6. Nicely on and off 7. Nice looking labyrinth, helping her build speed. 15th at the start, still 15th on the splits. Speed is starting to come a little. Little late out of 13, long skid down to 14, and that's probably going to blunt her progress. Out of 16, also ducks away. So she is ahead of Victoria Chernanska and Sarah Blizzard, and Melissa Lottholtz is ahead of her, which means that Mel absolutely gets the second heat. A number of drivers, in fact almost everybody coming up. 3 of the remaining 6 sleds have not driven here before. Yeah, uncomfortable out of 13. Look at the way she's leaning over, not just to look into 14, but also just to nudge the sled with her shoulder. Rides the sled a little like a motorcycle. Look how far back she sits compared to how far forward Melissa Lottholtz was. So 17 sleds down, 6 to go. And next up, Kelly van Pettigem of Belgium. And Jan the coach. Doing a bit of washing and brushing. Helping getting that sled moving. 10th World Cup start in Monobob World Cup for Kelly van Petegem. Raced here in Europa Cup in 2022 and 2023. Had a silver and a bronze in the 4 races. 5:85. So starting 400s quicker than Margot Bock. Makes her the 15th fastest start. A little skid down there from 3 to 4. And again, little tap 4 to 5. Waving through 6. Taps before 8. Thirteenth best speed. Just looks like she's overdriving it a fraction. 11th best speed. And across the line, 15th place, 55.13. So, with Margot Bock behind her and Victoria Chinansky and Sarah Blizzard, at the moment Kelly is in 15th. That late exit out of 13 probably feels as uncomfortable as it looks. And then down from 14 into 15. Again, she's sitting well back in the sled, but doesn't control that first height. And covering a bit more ground than needed. Poland's Linda Wajszewski is next up. This is her 12th World Cup start in Monobob. She raced here last year into 14th place. In fact, she's had half a dozen races here in the Monobob World Series, in Europe Cup and last year in the World Cup. So she's got good knowledge of the track. Some of our newer athletes will have spent a few weekends racing, or a few weeks racing on this track, because it's been part of Europe Cup for a long while. 5:81 getaway, whereas it hasn't been on the World Cup until last year. So World Cup level drivers predominantly don't know the track. Newer drivers predominantly do. Got to have some advantages somewhere. Nicely out of 6 into 7. Only the 18th best speed though. 15th fastest start, 5.81. And she's losing ground. The speed is not there. Skidding down to 14. Holds the height in 15, brings it out nicely on the run into 16, across the line, 17th place, 55.38. So ahead of Victoria Chinansky and Sarah Blizzard. And Chinansky and Blizzard at the moment 18th and 19th, only 20 go through, so they are in the danger zone potentially. Got 2 sleds who have not raced here before, but the other 2 have raced here last year. A few down into the sled, or across into the sled more accurately, in 15. Next up for Great Britain, Adele Nichol, 15th place here last year. 5 Europe Cup races on this track in the Monobob, and the World Cup race. Starting to get back to fitness after running over her foot with the sled at the start just before Christmas. th fastest start, 5:82, just a whisker behind Linda Wajszewski. Let's see if she can drive herself closer to the top 12. Finished in 15th place last year. 13th place finishes, including the most recent race in Samaritz, are her best of the season. Best speed of all, absolutely flying, if that is correct, 72.09 miles an hour. And if that is correct as well, Adele should move up across the line, 15th place, 55.02. Well, she's ahead of Kelly van Pettigem and only 400s behind Melissa Lotholtz. Those speeds look to be a little bit of an anomaly, because she gained no ground despite having the top speed for the last third of the run. Start speed is coming back, excuse me. Not a bad exit out of 13, but a long drift down into 14. So made her commentary debut last year here in Lillehammer as well. Lara Nolte-Lees from Bree Walker and Melanie Hasler, 20 down, 3 to go. China's Ying Qing raced here last season, her only time on the track in Lillehammer, earned her a 7th place finish and returned to the World Cup after the Christmas New Year break, recovering from injury pre-season back home in China. 5:83 getaway, so still not quite as healthy at the start as she would like to be. Last year the only time on this track, so she's only spent a couple of weeks here. 3 or 4 weeks, but knowledge is definitely still lacking compared to some of her rivals. Not many have been here more. Speed's really not there. 17th at the start, got up to 15th spot. Now down to 19th place. She's going to push Sarah Blizzard out of the race. She does. 19th at the moment. Victoria Chinanska behind her is on the bubble. No second heat then for Australia's Sarah Blizzard. Victoria Chinanska will have to wait another few minutes to find out whether she gets another run or not. And Ying Qing also potentially might not. She's in 19th with 2 to go. It's not so likely that they'll be faster, but this is sport. Again, look at that, she's driving almost from the back seat. I'm not sure anybody is further back in the sled than Ying. Next up for Nigeria, Simi Adiagbo, her 3rd Monobob World Cup race, raced here in the Monobob World Series back in 2021. Coached by bobsledding legend Sandra Kiriasis in the white jacket. She has been an Olympian, competed in Pyeongchang for Nigeria in skeleton before converting to bobsleigh. 2 23rd place finishes are her World Cup results so far. Starts 5:88. So 19th fastest start. Little tap 4 to 5. It's a smooth looking run so far. Victoria Chinanska on the bubble in 20th place. And at the moment, Nigeria's Simi Adiagbo is hovering around that top 20 mark. She was in the 20, she's outside now. Drifting away a little further down the run. Not too bad, 13 to 14. Is she going to gain enough speed? I don't think she is at the bottom. She's not going to make it through. A 55.94. So she will not get a second run today. We'll go again tomorrow in the women's bobsleigh. So representing Nigeria, Simi Adiagbo, still very much in the learning phase of driving monobob and women's bobsleigh at this level. And every new track is full of new challenges. Lots of height early on, holds it nicely though, she knows where she's going. And that is her down and done. And our final competitor, welcome to the World Cup debutante, Erica Vos. Well, actually, welcome back, because she has competed in the World Cup before as a brakewoman. But this is her first start as a driver. Last run on the brakes of a women's bobsleigh was January 2023, just 2 years ago. She has been learning to drive fast. This is a 22nd career monobob race, her first ever outside North America. Started driving in November 22, while she was still pushing as well. 2024 Pan Am silver medalist in the monobob. Yoko, her teammate, was the gold medalist, and that was on home ice in Whistler. Big skid for Erica Vos. It's not the tidiest run, but the speed is good. 14th at the start, 18th at the bottom. She's in the race at the expense of Victoria Chananska. Well done indeed. 55.33 slide. Well, she's got the start, and she handled the ice well. 14th at the start, 18th at the bottom on your debut, with all the nerves that that brings. Yes, she knows all the athletes that are around her from her time as a brakewoman. Yes, she knows the coaches, but no, she does not know the track. And that's a big, big difference to almost everybody here. All right, not Kaylee Humphries. Kaylee's not been here before. There's a few that haven't been here before, but still, Erica Vos, well done to make the cut on your first outing as a driver on a brand new track at the top level. Excellent stuff. So Erica Vos is in the race. Our first heat is completed, and our world champion for 2023 and 2024, Lauren Nolte, is our race leader. Well, she won Youth Olympic gold on this track 19 years ago. Is that right, or is it 9 years ago? 9 years ago. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19 is a bit excessive. 9 years ago, Lauren Nolte, the Youth Olympic champion, leads the tightest group. 100th ahead of Bree Walker, 600th ahead of Melanie Hassler, 700th ahead of last year's winner, Keisha Love, and then, well, Lisa Bukvitz, Cynthia Appia, Kaylee Humphries, Alana Myers-Taylor, all within 1600ths of a lead. Deborah Annan and Sylvia Hoffman almost tied, as is Kim Kalicki behind them. Then a dead heat, Katy Bile and Andrea Grecu. And don't forget as well, we can take all of the non-Europeans out of this for the European Championship honours. So it will all be decided in the second heat, and that will be coming up at 10:30 local, 09:30 Greenwich Mean Time, 04:30 Eastern. We will see you then. Bye for now.